We're back in June of 2010. President Obama made a dramatic decision. He fired his top commander in Afghanistan, Stanley McChrystal, after a story in Rolling Stone magazine quoted McChrystal and his top staff criticizing the White House and even making fun of Vice President Biden himself. Well, Michael Hastings wrote that story. He's out with a new book now about the incident, about McChrystal, and about the president's relationship with the Pentagon. It's a relationship that has evolved, he argues, significantly. The book is called The Operators, the wild and terrifying inside story of America's war in Afghanistan. Michael Hastings joins us now. Thank you very much. I'm very skeptical about that war and us ever getting where we want to get.
Right.
I always believe that once we leave, they're still there.
Right.
And you can't affect the time after you leave. But anyway, let's get to the quotes. One of the quotes you begin your book with is this telling one from former President or late President John F. Kennedy after the Bay of Pigs fiasco. The SOBs with all their fruit salad just sat there nodding, saying it would work. He's talking there about the SOBs are the top generals and admirals who said, don't worry, we'll beat the Cubans. We're going to do it with our Cuban exiles. What's your view of the President of the United States now and how he's evolved from the time he walked in there?
Well, I think you could make the argument that Obama had his Bay of Pigs moment with the escalation in Afghanistan. Essentially, you have a young commander-in-chief comes into office. I have a scene in the book where literally when he goes over to the Pentagon, the brass he's meeting with, the generals, they say he's intimidated by the crowd. You know, didn't have the respect that one would usually have for the commander-in-chief. 9 months later, they waged this campaign to get as many troops as possible, and they box the president in. And it's been that fight. That's what.
Are the top generals and admirals generally Republican?
They have been. McChrystal wasn't, but you got to remember, the last three defense secretaries had been Republican. Throughout that bureaucracy at the Pentagon, there were Republicans everywhere. So Obama's going into hostile territory, and how he's done that over these 2 years is, I think, one of the underreported. But
how does a president like that, who's a center-left guy in foreign policy, like I am,
sure,
how does he influence a right-wing or a center-right military? How does he begin to make it his presidency? He is commander-in-chief. He was elected. They weren't. How does he bring about his policy with these guys?
You do it by firing a general. You do it by putting in your own guy there, Leon Panetta. You do it by getting rid of the other celebrity general, David Petraeus, is now over at CIA.
You think that was purposeful to get him out of the combat situation?
Whether it was, and I write about this in the book, the White House's fear of Petraeus' presidential.
Well, I fear of it too, because you keep hearing it from the American elects crowd too. The guys in the middle up in New York.
Yeah,
you know?
No, and I think it's a very valid fear.
Although it didn't work with Huntsman very well, did it?
Well,
no, you give him a job and he comes back and runs against you anyway.
Petraeus would probably pull much like 20 times higher than Huntsman just by doing.
Oh, he'd be dynamite on the Republican ticket right now. Let's take a look at that dramatic moment in 2010 when the president announced General McChrystal's dismissal following the release of your article. Here it is.
Conduct represented in the recently published article does not meet the standard that should be set by a commanding general. It undermines the civilian control of the military that is at the core of our democratic system. I welcome debate among my team, but I won't tolerate division.
I think one of the geniuses of our Constitution is that we made our president commander-in-chief. I think we're the only country in the world that the top military person is our highest elected official, so that the American people are represented when we go to war. It hasn't always been honored. I think sometimes they have been dragged into wars. But your thoughts about this president? Is this president now in charge?
Yeah, I think he really is. Look, he overruled Secretary Gates twice on two big operations, Libya and the bin Laden raid.
They didn't want to go in. They didn't want to even leave from behind.
Oh, no, they did not. No. Gates did not want to go into Libya, and with bin Laden, he wanted to do a missile strike.
Now, a missile strike would have left us perhaps with the same result, except politically we wouldn't have known it was him, right?
Would have been it could have been potentially disastrous to have a missile strike that deep into Pakistan.
Because Pakistan would have denied it, probably that was even him.
And it would have been almost inactive. How could you have proven it, right? How could you have proven it?
And then say we shot into their territory without their permission. We wouldn't get the credit in our own morale building, which is very important to us that we got the guy. Right. They would still be able to claim he was alive, but they had to get his teeth and stuff like that to make sure it was him, right?
Right, and fingerprints, and then they put him in the ocean. But yeah, I mean.
But they made sure it was him before the mission was accomplished.
Yes,
that was the main reason. Catch him. Kill him if you have to. Make sure it's him.
Right. But that's the confidence. I mean, this is the growth and confidence of President Obama in terms of how he deals with the military.
This is still disturbing to me. You wrote something really interesting about the Afghanistan war. You were talking about one specific offensive in Helmand province and the question of why we were fighting there. You said it represents the warped logic of the war. Well, I think the whole war is warped because you can't win a counterinsurgency. If you're eventually going to leave, the insurgents will win. Quote, "We're there because we're there. And because we're there some more. It's against every martial instinct to withdraw, to retreat, to leave land where blood has been spilled. Therefore, the biggest challenge to a war, you go into a country, third world country, far off country, eventually you have to come home. But if you come home, people always say, oh, that was wasted if you come home.
And the military doesn't want to leave. I mean, General McChrystal just recently said that we're only halfway there in Afghanistan. He wants 10 more years.
To do what?
To do what they've been doing. You know, the military.
Can you kill all the Taliban who dislike you?
No, you can't. And every general knows that, and that's why Mitt Romney said the other night that, oh, he's not going to negotiate with the Taliban. It's utter nonsense.
Isn't the Taliban an ideology? And therefore anybody can pick up on that ideology, and our mere presence there probably encourages young people to consider it, right?
99% of the people we've fought and killed in Afghanistan pose no threat to the U.S. homeland. Maybe even more than 99%. That is the big lie of this war. That is why we shouldn't be there, because it's not making us safer. And it goes to what you say. The Taliban are enemies because we're in the villages where the Taliban are. The Taliban think they're fighting the Soviets, some of them.
Yeah.
They've never heard of September 11th. They don't know why we're there. They just see, you know, a couple of white guys walking through their field.
Well, why did Obama increase the complement of troops in the surge?
I think he was boxed in. I think he had made a promise on the campaign trail to focus on Afghanistan. He originally gave 21,000.
I know. That's no excuse to surge.
I think it's tough. See, this is where
I was with Biden on that one. Biden was against doing it.
Biden's right.
Biden says go to counterterrorism. That's why we're there to fight terrorists. We're not there to take over the country, rebuild the country, or fight in its civil war.
And we're moving.
By the way, I know this sounds awful, but the Taliban are one of the contending forces in that country.
Yeah.
Right? But it's their country. Whatever we think of them. Anyway, thank you, Michael Hastings. This book's going to be read. Great book. The Operators. Thank you, Michael Hastings.
Thank you, sir.
When we get back, let me finish.